Hello, this is Lesson 1.7, Midpoint and Distance in the Coordinate Plane, Geometry with Mr. Waddell. The essential understanding is that you can use formulas to find the midpoint and length of any segment in the coordinate plane. The DoD standard says the student will use coordinate geometry to prove properties of polygons such as regularity, congruence, and similarity, and the student will prove theorems by using coordinate geometry including the midpoint of a line segment and the distance formula and various forms of equations of lines and circles. To get started, the key concept is the midpoint formula. The coordinate of the midpoint is the average or the mean of the coordinates of the endpoints. The formula is adding the endpoints together and dividing by 2. So the diagram would be on the number line. Say the coordinate of point A is little a and the coordinate of point B is little b. You add them together, a plus b, and you divide it by 2. That's indicated right here. In the coordinate plane, that means the x and y axis plane, you have to average the x coordinates and the average of the y coordinates of the endpoints. So if I have a line segment AB where A is x1, y1 and B is x sub 2, y sub 2, then the coordinates would be adding x1 and x2 together, divide by 2. The y coordinate would be add y1 and y2 together and divide by 2. So there is a representation of AB and the midpoint that's there. You might want to try to verify that that formula works for that particular diagram. Let's say that line, that's supposed to be line segment, but it says ray, has endpoints at -4 and 9. What is the coordinate of the endpoint? And that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so you add together -4 plus 9 and divide by 2. So there's the midpoint, and use the formula, substitute and divide, so we get 5/2 is the midpoint. Now the distance formula in the coordinate plane, I'm sure you remember the Pythagorean theorem. Well, that's where it comes from. You have point A and point B. Again, we're saying x1, y1 and x2, y2. But notice here, it's x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus the second quantity of y2 minus y1 quantity squared, and then you take the square root of the whole thing. Alright, so you have x2 minus x1 is this distance, and then this distance is y2 minus y1, and you see the Pythagorean theorem says this squared plus this squared square root is the hypotenuse. You remember that surely. Now, example. The point U is at -7, 5, and the point V is at 4, -3. What is the distance? There's the formula. Here's what we're going to do, and do a substitution. Okay. Now you must remember that when you subtract a negative number, that means to add. So we've got 11 squared plus a -8 squared, but -8 squared is 64 and 121, so it's 185. use one decimal place, so you see our answer is 13.6. This is really the end of this. It's really quick. You're going to use the formulas over and over. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.